These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Football.
Welcome in. We got our guy coming up in a minute here, the most passionate Vikings fan we know and one of the most rigorous mockers in the mock draft world, Randy in Cottage Grove. Randy Vikes, 69, to recap his thoughts on the Vikings draft. But gentlemen, a shout out to our friends here to start this episode at Power Lodge and Miller Marine Throttle Therapy, we call it. Judd, look at this Bennington. Is that you actually on the YouTube channel? Look at it's Judd.
I'm not that gray, but I tell you right now, that dude is one lucky guy because this looks awesome.
Dude, the Bennington pontoons, there's so many things for you to put on a body of water that you can find at Miller Marine. By the way, Power Lodge locations in Brainerd, Onamia, Ramsey, Miller Marine in St. Cloud. It is a quartet of places to get fun things to enjoy your summer. Go find, by the way, from now until May 6th, this Saturday, so you got a couple days to take advantage of the Power Lodge and Miller Marine's power sale. Go find the boat or pontoon that's just right for you in your next Remember When family moment. PowerLodge.com or MillerMarine.com. It all starts at the lodge, the Power Lodge. We'll be talking more about them.
Imagine, too, with the stress of the Viking season months away, just the relaxation. Like if you are uptight about missed field goals, right? About 4th and 8 checkdowns. Summer is coming up, and you can be on that pontoon just relaxing, giving no thought to stress.
No.
Giving all thought to purple therapy and relaxation.
Randy, are you a boat guy, pontoon guy?
I have a good time on a pontoon here and there for sure. One of the things, I don't know if you guys recall when some of our players were sort of thrown under the bus on what they call the love boat scandal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I seem to recall that.
I remember that.
I don't know if they were thrown under the bus. I think they were
having a good time.
They were underneath something on that boat. I'll tell you that much.
Well, they were doing things that adults do and having a good time. And I thought that was a sort of a hose job by some of the media. But the reason I bring that up is that when that happened, I could relate. I've had good times on a pontoon, and we'll just leave it at that. I mean, you get some of those lakes, you get out there, and there's no rules, as they say.
Yeah, well, there should be some rules.
In? That's the question.
I mean, sometimes I'm the skipper. Other people can be the skipper. Whoever.
Oh no, I didn't say skipper. I said strippers. Do you bring strippers in?
No, we don't. Jeff, we don't. I've never paid for that kind of thing.
Okay,
but if you didn't pay for it, that means you haven't enjoyed it, though, right?
We have a good time, Dexter. I'll just leave it at that.
You get your name
Dexter.
right.
Yeah,
Dexter right.
So anyhow,
you
Randy,
can get a keg on a pontoon deck. That's just.
Let's be responsible here, okay? Let's be responsible. We're all preaching responsibility. I want to start real quick with you. We just want to get your thoughts on this draft and just kind of wondering your thoughts on the defensive players the Vikings drafted. Mekhi Blackmon, Jay Ward, a couple defensive backs from USC and LSU. Jaquelin Roy, the meat and potatoes interior defensive lineman from LSU.
Jaquelin Roy, that's one for sure that got me up out of my seat. I was excited for him. I didn't think he'd be there then, but Blackmon could start. I mean, a lot of people think he could maybe even start week 1. He's got a lot of upside. There's a lot, I have sort of by definition, any of these draft guys do, but Blackman's he's a freak. I mean, he's an athletic freak, and he used to like to match up, in practice with the guy who we took in the first round. There, guy who by the name of Jordan Addison, who I called that. I predicted that, so you can add that to my notch. Put another notch in my
you
belt.
have historically, yeah. I mean, you've historically nailed several Vikings draft picks going back multiple years, which is why we love your analysis on the show.
Justin Jefferson.
It's possible. This my handwriting's kind of messy sometimes. You did nail Janarius Robinson. That was probably the most impressive one. Just like a random 4th or 5th round draft.
I should have nailed Brock Purdy, but we didn't take him.
Yeah, you nailed that Brock Purdy was draftable, and it's not your fault. It's the Vikings' fault, right?
Agreed.
But I don't know. My handwriting can be a little sloppy. I was just kind of writing down your picks from your 7-round mock last week, and I had you taking Hendon Hooker at 27 after a trade back.
Well, that was if there was a
you
trade
said.
back. There wasn't a trade back. I said it takes two to tango, and we didn't do that trade back, did we? So I guarantee you, we're looking into it, trying to work the phones, trying to move down, acquire more capital, as they say. But I said if there's a trade back, it's going to be Hooker, and if there's not a trade back, it's going to be Addison. That counts.
Well, that's just kind of the life of the mocker. I mean, you chose the trade back, and the trade back didn't. You chose the trade back and Hendon Hooker, and sometimes that happens in the mock draft world where you were just. I mean, you were wrong, but
you can't have both ways, Randy.
They didn't find a dance partner, as they say. So how are we gonna? How is that pick wrong if there wasn't a trade back? I mean, what I said is, if it is going to be awfully tempted to take Jordan Addison there because he's a stud, and we decided to stay there. So maybe their conviction on him was strong enough that they didn't want to risk letting him go somewhere else. So that I saw what there was to see in him. They saw what there was to see in him. That's a quality draft selection, and it's another one that I got right. I nailed it. I pegged it.
All right. Well, let's. Declan has the tape here. Let's see.
Sure.
Let's let everyone judge. Does Randy deserve credit here? Randy has nailed multiple Vikings draft picks in the past. Let's roll the tape. Does he deserve credit for nailing Jordan Addison here?
So here we go.
Let's do it.
In the first round, it's going to be awfully tempting to take a wideout like a Jordan Addison or maybe a Quentin Johnson if they're there. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, we're going to trade back. We're going to trade back to try to snag another pick, maybe two. I'm going to call that trade back is going to happen with the Chiefs.
Okay. Wow. We have a
We're
trade.
Slide back to the end of the first round, and we're going to draft. Get ready for this. Hold on to your butts, as they say. Hendon Hooker.
Wow.
Quarterback of the future, really.
Sounds like a buzzer to me.
Yeah.
Well,
write that down. You wouldn't get the point.
I say the first name out of Randy's mouth was Jordan Addison.
That's right.
But then you also threw you can't just throw 15 names out. You threw out
I agree.
multiple wide receivers.
They're both
trade.
studs. Quentin Johnson's going to be a stud too. But I said if it was awfully tempting to stay here. And when first guy said Jordan Addison, tempting to stay here, take a guy like a Jordan Addison. That's the first thing I said. Tempting to stay here, and if you do, you might take a guy like a Jordan Addison. So they didn't find a trade down, and we stayed put, and I nailed it. That's another good one for Randy.
No, I'm sorry, Randy. That's just not the case.
You're gonna buzz him. You're
Incorrect.
buzzing Randy for that one. I think I'm gonna give you credit for you were sniffing around it. You definitely you were keyed in, and I
tweeted about it too, Randy.
I think you got Randy
Vikes 69.
I'm going to offer some constructive criticism here, okay? I think you were too caught up in the Hendon Hooker hype. I think you got caught up in the Hendon Hooker hype machine.
He's going to be a good pro. He's going to play. He's going to play on Sundays.
Unfortunately, you've done a great job before. I don't feel like 2023, the spring, was your best mocking.
Well, I've said it before. The season got way too exciting. I didn't watch nearly enough of the sort of the prospect class. Mm-hmm. But this one, I'm claiming this. You can't take it from me. And matter of fact, if you're going to go ahead and say that I didn't nail that, then you don't get to know what I think of Jaron Hall. You don't get to know what I seen on tape from him, and you don't get you don't get to share. If you don't want to, tell me good job baking the cake, then you don't get it. You don't get a slice.
All right, mute Judge Mike, because I want to hear what Randy thinks of Jaron Hall. And so Randy, when we go forward here, when we mention going forward, when we give all your accolades, right? He's one of the most prominent, mockers in the mockosphere. He's one of the most passionate Vikings fans we know. He has correctly nailed multiple Vikings draft picks, like Justin Jefferson, like Mike Hughes, like Janarius Robinson. I'm also going to add, like Jordan Addison.
Yeah, thank you. Because I said it's the first name I said, we stay at that spot.
He nailed it. Get the flag. Wave that flag, Judd.
Oh, Judd, wave the flag.
More enthusiasm, please.
Come on.
More enthusiasm.
This is crap. This is absolute crap. I'm being forced. I'm basically being held
Mute his
hostage.
mic. I want to hear. Mute his mic.
I'm
Listen,
okay.
Jeff.
Everything is.
Jeff, you got a media credential. Go. Why don't you go ask Quezzy? Go ask Quezzy and KOC if you guys traded back. Who are you gonna take? And
I might just do that.
and go ahead and you tell him old Randy said that he heard steam on Hendon Hooker. Okay, this isn't
You know
just
what?
coming out of my
And
ass. I'm
those
not pulling it out of my ass.
Well, that's a visual I didn't need.
I
Randy.
do. I do work
I don't know
on
if I
this
knew that.
thing. You know, it's not just for it's the whole community respects people who get a pick right, and I don't take that lightly.
You sort of stole the first one you did.
For
but-
people who are listening, you know, for Quezzy, for KOC, you got a good guy. You got a stud in Jordan Addison. But I have a feeling you were trying to trade back, and don't let Jeff steal the glory.
Yeah, and I wanted to hear his Jaron Hall
Judd.
analysis. Why didn't you just?
Judd.
You couldn't
I've-
just put your ego aside for
It
5
rubbed
seconds.
it rubbed me the wrong way since he stole the Wally football mock a month ago. Now I'm sorry, it's been eating at me, and then he tries to claim.
thought more about
you played
that.
the clip.
Listen, as a former jazz musician myself in high school jazz ensemble one, a
Yep.
former Louis Armstrong award-winning trumpet player.
Yeah,
Okay.
Congratulations,
That's right.
Buffalo.
His analogy about it's all jazz music, man. Mock drafting is jazz music. You know, someone Count Basie builds on something in the 50s, you sample it here in the 2000s. You're one guy's riffing over here, you riff on his riff, and you're building something.
Yeah.
I can respect that line of thinking. Why start from zero if you're a mocker? If Walter Football put in a bunch of good groundwork, build on Walter Football. Build your own iteration.
You will recall this is the same guy though who accused Shregs of blatant mock plagiarism. Okay.
Well, don't you think it's a little fishy that Shregs has risen up so high? Do you think Shregs hasn't stepped on a few people like Randy in Cottage Grove to get to where he is? That's shady Shregs. Shady
Okay,
Shregs.
So Shregs plagiarized, but when Wally I feel it's not fair. We're not throwing our support behind a guy whose mock we've read for ages.
When can we hear? Maybe we have to get him on again next week because I just want a Jaron
bow
Hall
out.
breakdown from Randy.
You know what? I will mute my mic the entire time next week.
Okay. He might be done now. He might find another podcast
Thanks,
to
Judd.
join.
That's
So
the benchmark we lost.
yeah, sometimes people accuse
we don't
me
have
of
many
bullying
benchmarks
Randy.
anymore.
Judd's the real bully here. Judd's the one that's been bullying Randy more than me.
You played the clip. He didn't predict it. He said they liked. If he had only said one player, I might be more inclined to forgive and forget. But he threw out a couple of receivers, and then he said they're going to trade back.
He did throw out multiple receivers. He could have thrown out Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
At some point, you do have to draw a line. But he did. The first name out of his mouth was Jordan Addison. So
I
he's
feel like
definitely
accountability
sticking around.
is the hallmark of this show, of this brand. Accountability. And I feel that there was a lack of accountability for Randy right there.
You know, my dog Maya holds me accountable. My wife and I every morning.
She should.
And then sometimes a couple more times later in the day, she's like, hey, I'm holding you accountable. You need to feed me on time when I want to be fed. My Nutrisource chicken and rice, specifically Nutrisource, the official dog and pet food of Mackie and Judd and SKOR North.
Accountability is absolutely key. I don't even know if you could call what Stella does to me, holding me accountable, or just to such a high standard. Because again today, 6:15, get up, get out of bed. Dad, I need to go outside. And then once I'm outside, I don't just want a treat. I want Nutrisource breakfast, damn it. And you know what? Her father delivered because that's the type of doggy parent I am. Oh, look at that. Oh, he's got his badge on.
Vinny's got the building badge. Look at that.
He the little SKOR North social appearance on the Surly Brewing went to Vinny's head a little bit, so now he thinks he can just kind of run. Well, he does run the house. Excuse me.
But he
I
works
should
there
say
now?
he doesn't. But now he wants to come to work, I think, with Dad and lead the trail of Nutrisource treats with him. He'll follow those treats right into the car, and let me tell you, he hates the car. But if there's Nutrisource involved, he's in.
Your dog hates the car?
He is
loves my car.
He loves like going, to see his brother and going to the cabin, love all that. The moment he sees the car, he realizes, oh, wait a minute.
Does he
don't
get
wanna
nauseous or what's his?
There's been some nauseous stuff, but he had a really bad nausea as a puppy. And then recently too, he's kind of been throwing up sometimes when he's in the car. Poor guy does not like the car. He's gotten a little better. He's gotten a little bit better, but
Stella
freezes up a little bit.
loves the car. She
Maya
wants
loves
in.
the car too. The thing with Maya lately here is she thinks that all of Minneapolis is her yard and gets territorial with other dogs sometimes. And she's
might
like,
be right, Phil.
she's very small, but she has a mighty bark. So we need to
She might be right.
desensitize her apparently. So she doesn't like yappy, smaller dogs because those are the dogs. If it's like a big fluffy dog, she kind of like, okay, you're bigger than me. But if it's a yappy small dog, she thinks, oh, this is my chance to show who's boss. Like, no, that's
Bang.
not how we
Paw slaps?
behave. No. Did you
Starts
do
to
eye
brawl.
slap her?
No,
Paws?
no. Paw. No. Does she
The
paw
dog,
slap the
Maya.
small dogs? You know
Oh.
how a small dog? Because I keep
no,
Stella
she
away
mostly
from
just
your
barks
dogs like that.
loudly.
Okay. Because I tell Stella, you are far too small to play with those big dogs.
NutrisourcePetFoods.com, by the way, to find
Yes.
a
I love
Nutrisource
it.
retailer near you. NutrisourcePetFoods.com. Oh man, we have a gem here. This is the Todd Father, way too early, 2024 mock draft. Todd McShay.
Todd.
They let him sleep for a day, and then they tell him, "Hey man, hey guy, dust it off here." He used to hate doing this. He used
And
to
I have not looked.
Okay.
I have no
on
idea.
TV, he used to go on TV and just like, oh, I hate doing the 2000, the look ahead mock drafts because it's so early. One time he had Mitch Leidner as like the 20th overall pick a year in advance. So it's hard sometimes. But he has put this out on ESPN.com and he says, yes, we're already looking at next year's draft class. The top prospects haven't even stepped on an NFL field yet. But let's go ahead and do a way, way too early projection of every first round pick for next year. So he's gone from, I hate doing this, to, okay, I'm a little more eager. And now he has multiple projected trades early, including the first overall pick.
Todd got a talking to. Todd got pulled into the principal's office and told you are going to do a year out and you are going to like it.
He literally has so again, the draft order is projected because you're just projecting which
Right.
teams are going to be the
And he
worst.
starts making trades.
And then he has a projected draft order and then a projected trade for the number one pick in his draft. This is amazing.
Good for him.
So he's got the Cardinals with the number one pick, but trading out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Does
Yeah,
he have
of
the
course.
capital in here too? Does he have the capital? I don't think he does. He doesn't have the actual
That's
draft
okay.
capital.
The same as Carolina, probably, or more.
But he's got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trading for Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC, the number one
Okay,
pick.
yeah.
That'll be a freaking haul because half the league would want to make that trade.
Yep.
But if you're the Cardinals too, maybe you're done with Kyler Murray at that point. Maybe you want to make that pick. But the Cardinals also pick number 2. He's got them taking Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver from Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Then he has another projected trade with Washington trading up with the Colts for the number 3 overall pick.
Okay.
This is glorious. And that is Drake May, the 6'4", 220-pound, athletic, massive armed quarterback from North Carolina to the Commanders.
Okay, recklessly speculating, that might be go time for the purple right there.
Gotta go.
I don't think they can get to 1.
Could they
but-
get to 3
but
though? for
3
Drake?
might be when you mortgage a decent part of your future. I
Could
see
be.
it.
And so let's just kind of scroll here. I'm looking for more quarterbacks. Okay, still 16, 17, no Vikings, no quarterbacks. Okay, we get to the 20th overall pick here,
Okay.
where the Minnesota Vikings select out of the University of Michigan, go blue, quarterback J.J. McCarthy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so Quasi insiding with his good friend Jimmy Harbaugh, huh?
Super interesting. Yes, they are tight.
They are good friends.
Here's the write-up. McShay says, I thought about Washington's Michael Penix Jr. here. Very mobile quarterback. Used to be at Indiana, now Washington. I feel like he's pretty small, though.
I don't know. Yes, I agree completely.
Maybe I'm wrong. How tall is Michael Penix? We'll look
I
that
don't
up.
think he's a first-round quarterback.
But I ultimately went with McCarthy, who threw for 22 touchdowns, 5 picks last season in Michigan. There's a handful of passers who could rise into round 1. Penix, Bo Nix, the Texas mulleted quarterback named Quinn. But McCarthy is intriguing because of his 6'3" frame, running ability, accuracy, and arm talent. In Minnesota, Cousins is entering the final year of his contract. The team could move on. Despite winning 13 games last season, the Vikings were outside the top 20 in total quarterback QBR. McCarthy could be the future for a team like Minnesota if he takes the next step. Actually, it's funny. Michael Penix is 6'3". I always thought he was shorter than that. So never mind on the size thing for Michael Penix. Living in Washington for a couple years, I watched a lot of Washington Michael Penix football. He's intriguing for sure. He's
Really?
intriguing, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't think he was during his Big Ten stint with the Hoosiers.
No, he took a huge step forward in pretty much every cat. He threw for 4,600 yards at Washington last year and 31 touchdowns. So someone to watch there. But there it is. There's your McShay mock with multiple trades in the first 3 picks.
So he's got the Vikings 20th, so he's got him regressing a little bit.
Yeah, so they would
record-wise.
still be
Could be a wild
they'd still be
card team.
they'd be a wild card team
Yep.
at 20.
Yep.
Interesting.
I like it.
All right. Well, there you go. There's your Randy and Cottage Grove's thoughts on some of the draft picks before
I'm sorry,
a fight
guys.
broke out. And
Sorry.
then Todd McShay thinks the Vikings, that next year is the year for the Vikings to.
Declan's
But,
discussed with me.
but we see this all the time too. Like a quarterback is projected to be 20th, but they're not. They're going to go 8th, and you have to trade up to get it.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe Declan can work on getting Randy for next week once he's cooled
try.
down, so we can get his Jaron Hall.
I'll
thoughts,
bow
'cause
out
I
if you
would
guys
like
want.
his Jaron Hall thoughts.
Entirely.
Might have to. Yeah.
Might have to. Yep. Okay, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us here.
Sorry.